All right. It is June 19th. It is day 127 of the apocalypse. Just kidding. Kind of feels like it. But we are going to be talking about the different things going on here in the market currently. So we're going to take a look at some of the larger time frames as well as some of the smaller time frames. So we got a request here. First of all, we'll take a look at what is going on in gold. So let me pull up some charts of gold for you guys. And I'm actually going to start with the one that I was mentioning before we got started here, and that is this 100% extension on the 8,000 tick chart. So what we had here was a little bit of a kind of crazy phoenix. It's a odd shaped megaphone with a little head and shoulders down here. And this triggered pretty late in the day yesterday for a break on the upside. This little early move here can trap a lot of traders. It's really important that if you take a breakout that's a bit on the early side, keep your stops using the wider stop. I know that can be a little bit daunting on some strategies, but if they go too fast, like this little shelf here, it can go and give you that extra pullback that can be enough to flush people out. So go back and look at previous zones of congestion, make sure that you've gone long enough. You can use fib fans to help you out. So for example, in a check mark pattern, one of the things you can do is you can hook up your 76.4% or your 61.8% fan to this level. And then when it retests that same fan on a check mark, it's usually pretty good for a go point at that point. So that's one kind of little trick you can use on that. So we're right at that 100%. So if it's going to hold with like a 2T, this would be where it would do it. The other option, of course, is that this goes with a bigger breakout and we get, hopefully kind of more kneecap type of corrections at this point, and then that would continue the move. So I'm a little concerned that maybe we're still a little bit early, but this kind of looks a bit like a head and shoulders. But I want to pull up a larger time frame here to take a look at first. So I am going to grab a 20,000 tick chart, and you'll see there's one zone of concern on the 20,000. Oh, and we'll also look at the NASDAQ right now because that is basically the same pattern that happened just now on the NASDAQ. So here's the 20,000 tick chart. So you can see really pretty strong move up over here, but it kind of shifted momentum on that second move. We are at a point where we've had a two-wave correction. You can see here, but this pullback is still mid-range. It's not one that was at the upper end of the range. So that still leaves this up in the air that the risk is still there that we could get another flush on the downside, and it could even be a strong flush. So that's why I'm saying this is a little bit on the earlier side for a bigger breakout, just because of where this is taking place in this range. So ideally we would see this a little bit lower, and then it could have like a really strong move up here and then break, or we would see it come up and base along that upper end of the channel. And that's ideal because what that means is that when that breaks, you can keep your stop under here and you can have a really tight stop and a really nice continuation. Just not the case here. So let me show you what happened here on our NASDAQ, where we just saw this kind of little check mark pattern. And I need a bigger time frame and a little bit more time. So it's another kind of little check mark here. Very similar in how that formed there. So it's right here. So you can see that this was also, here's our channel, and here's where that check mark was. Again, it's in the middle of that channel. So this is coming up to this previous high here, and now it's struggling on this instead of just continuing with a strong breakout. And again, stronger than average move over here too. So this is all kind of affecting what is going on here on gold right now too. Pretty good turnaround off of this high here on the NASDAQ. I want to show you guys the 5-minute on this. I mentioned this in our forum as we were getting started because we went and we had 2 time corrections overnight. So what does that mean, you guys? What's the next type of correction you usually look for? So basically 2 check marks, time, price. Exactly. So this is what I mentioned to folks here a little bit ago when I came in, and that's what we're seeing playing out right now. We are seeing more of that price correction. And this is a series of developments in a trend that you always want to follow. So a time correction can be a check mark. The check mark is a little tricky because sometimes it starts out as a price and then it goes to time, right? You can also get a megaphone, and that will be a time correction overall too. And a lot of times people miss that because it has these big swings back and forth inside. So don't always consider that to be a time correction, but it is. So those are some of the ways that can play out. And then we've got the reversal here up at the highs. And then this was rounding off intraday, and that was more evident or apparent on the intraday charts here. You can see this here. It's kind of rounding off going on. All right, you guys. So what do you think for this afternoon on the NASDAQ? You guys have any thoughts? I'll show you a 6,000 tick chart on the ES. We are breaking 76.4% Fibonacci fan right now. It's testing that fan level from some levels that I had drawn earlier. So I'm gonna go over there and pull up that ES. Look at that. So see how this rounds off over here? And then this is kind of a 2T. And I had drawn this in Telegram yesterday, but I was originally looking at, possibly it would go like here and do the 2 wave, and instead it did the check mark to get the 2 wave. So this was still wave 1, but then it did a second bigger correction in here, and this ended up being wave 2. Let me show you the comparison to what I had drawn. Here. So see this? This is what I was originally thinking. And you can see that there was really just still one correction in there. So what it did was it went out, did that little second pullback in there, and then has gone up. But that overall pattern is still there. Here's another example of rounding highs that we saw yesterday. Look at how that 5-second chart looks almost exactly like what we are having going on right now. Let me show you rather. Here's the 1,000 tick. Look at that, you guys. See this 2 wave in here? And then I go back to that Telegram chart, and here's that 2 wave right there. Now, the NQ yesterday on the 5-second chart is actually a little bit of a cleaner setup. You can see it basically basing. This ended up plummeting. So if that's any indication on what we got going on here, we got to watch that. Exactly, Nicole. Nicole says this is exactly why we watch the smaller time frames, to train us on what to see on the larger time frames. Screen time pays off. Exactly. And that's why in League of Traders, I'll spend a lot of time on the smaller time frames, even if it's stuff that, might be smaller than I'm really comfortable trading. or that I want you guys trading, because those same patterns are going to apply to our 1,000 tick chart. The same type of thing. So what we're looking at here is maybe some sort of kneecap type of continuation type of moves are, what we could have here into the afternoon. It's kind of starting off slowly, but these can have a tendency to go and gain momentum. And being a Friday, that could happen too. So hold on one second. Yep, it's triple witching. Triple witching too. I know that was kind of a weird thing this week. Usually, Ninja Trader gives people like a heads up. Whoa, roll your contract's over. It did not do that this time around. But always watch out. The third week of an expiration month, the beginning of that week is generally when you want to flip over your contracts. So that means that if you if you are looking at like September contracts, go in and on September, the first Monday of September, you're going to want to flip over. Yeah, look at that. See, that's just exactly what we were talking about here. In the 5 minute, the momentum looks even stronger as to how it's trying to pick up. And Nicole, apparently. I'll have to figure that out here after this. I see 3 of you, Nicole. Somebody's pretending to be you. You shared your email link. That would be it, because they're all logging in as you. Oh man, you went and cloned yourself. That's hilarious. Okay, you guys. So I know there's multiple clones everywhere. It's hilarious. There's 3 Nicoles in the room right now. But look at that. There's the kneecap. It's doing exactly what we were talking about. I should have jumped on this train when we were first looking at it. I blame coffee. Not enough coffee yet. So what we're looking at right here is a 76.4% retracement. This is where we can get an initial stall. Look at that, like almost exactly. And sometimes the MNQ will be more exact than the NQ, which is kind of curious, but it has more volume. This is also back at some fan support on the ES2. Let's see here. We're going to look at some of the other markets, but I'm going to go to a larger time frame on this first. So here's what we've got going on the larger time frame. Really rapid V in here. So we're going to expect this to get choppy for the rest of the year, probably even into next year. We're going to usually see a lot more back and forth. It actually can still creep higher, which is kind of interesting. I was not expecting that as we were going into this correction, but that is what we're looking at right now. I'm going to put this on a monthly too. So here's what we're looking at on the monthly. So this can kind of still creep a little bit higher here. It's trying to do even more blow off action. On the daily time frame, you can see there's room for a 2T, but this is a really tricky trading zone in here. Why, you guys? What makes this tricky? And here's our exact test of that 76.4% retracement. I guess I removed it. You guys know? The shift in momentum. This means that it's easier for it to just whack around, go back and forth, harder time figuring out direction. A lot of times you'll end up with like rounding off up here at this level, but it's not as straightforward of a directional bias when that happens. So you will get a lot of instances of where panic can happen. So you can get some really rapid multiple day sell-offs in some cases. So we want to be paying attention to what's going on the smaller time frames. So for example, what's the pattern here on our 60-minute that just tripped with this high up here? That's right, momentum reversal plus. 1, 2, 3, plus. So this is actually a pattern that can pull back further. So we could easily come into, down here as we go into early next week. So my bias into next week is going to be more on the bearish side, but again, paying close attention to what's happening on the intraday timeframes and check out the momentum on that selling. We were looking for it to pick up and it is obliging us. So here's the kneecap and then there's the strong increase in momentum. All right, so that is why I'm a little concerned about what was happening on gold too, because that spot on gold is a zone we might see a bigger correction too. But the one difference on gold is we don't have the rounding off that we had on the NASDAQ at the high. The gold is still pulling back. It's coming back into some of the previous morning highs here. All right, let's go look at some of the other markets. So we're going to look at EA was one request. Monthly on EA is kind of iffy. It can kind of do anything there. The daily, the breakout was a bit on the earlier side. It's kind of not straightforward. So you can see this pullback here and then the pullback here. So this portion is actually quite small compared to here. A lot of times this check mark would go out to about here before it breaks higher. So it could even flush back like that and go again. It looks like on the daily it's trying to deal out with some resistance right here. So this is a little bit trickier here. Look at the 60-minute. Yeah, it's not really following through well on this check mark here either. So looks like you've got a bit of a trap with that gap this morning. I don't know. I mean, monthly can still have some more upside, but it's not as straightforward, you guys. I guess I would stay away for new positions. News on Apple closing stores. Let's look at Apple. I mean, EA could easily go into like a multi-year correction, just like congestion at that high. Apple is still doing its extreme move. You're on. I would expect a bigger correction here as we go into the summer on Apple. Wouldn't even be surprised if this does a double top or some sort of 2T or something. Maybe push like one more little move so it has like a steep 2T and then turns over, but I don't think you're going to get it past, let's see, what's that level up there? About 370. I don't think you're going to get much, it to be able to pull much up above that. That would be like the maximum I would look for. It's right about there. And that would be a steep 2T here. And I don't even know that it's going to do that, but it has the potential to get there just based upon this first move here and then looking at this as kind of the second. So this is like your correction here in the middle. So that would be my upper projection on Apple. And then I would expect a bigger correction again. Notice the way these kind of corrections are playing out here. You got that check mark. Netflix. Yeah, I was looking at Netflix yesterday. So it was trying to shift momentum over here. So it had the two measured moves up, shifted momentum, basically a 2T. And now it's threatening a head and shoulders, but it's not something that would have like a really rapid correction usually. So I wouldn't really be as concerned about Netflix as being something that could have a steep pullback. I think it could correct more through time than it would as easily through price. And when I look at this weekly, what I see here is the two wave and then the break. And it looks like maybe the break was a little, premature as far as the pattern goes. So it's something that could pull and do an even bigger move. Just to see how this corrects in here, but I wouldn't expect a big, really a big price correction. Have to round off more. Let's see, what else you guys want to look at? SNAP and SAN. That was a beautiful breakaway gap there on SAN on the downside. We are down into pretty much like penny stock almost type of territory on the weekly on this. I'm not sure what the security is here, but you've got your two waves down. It's not at a full extension on the downside yet. Now, this is something where we can get a little bit of a move up. Yeah, Karan, there's someone else asked for SAN. So, yeah. So what we're looking at is, maybe some more downside, and then you might get a little like pop there, but something that looks like this, it's usually pretty dead unless there is some really fundamental change that is happening within the company. And it does not look like that. You've got, your three lows here, so it's coming into a good support zone. So again, you could get a little bit of a pop, but it could easily go lower first before it pops. This would be something that I would stay away from. And then SNAP, that was funny. You guys had like the two symbols really close together. SNAP Kind of indifferent about the weekly or the monthly, except that it's coming back up to a 76.4% retracement. This is a mega phoenix here, and it's gained momentum. So this actually can still keep picking up momentum. It's a break that's so a little bit of a better mega phoenix would have had a little bit of a slower move here, and a little bit more difference between where the highs and the lows are breaking. But overall, I wouldn't go against this trend, even though the spacing is kind of off here. Let's go look at the smaller time frame here. So this could be a kneecap right here, which means that the potential is still there for that to still keep going. Intraday, you'll get little pauses, but there's not really a huge indication on the daily chart yet that it's necessarily done. Here's one extension you'll want to watch for some intraday resistance. You can see the pullback and then the base. So that is a tilted check mark there, and it's even a bigger tilted check mark here. So yeah, I would avoid getting too excited about any sort of reversal on this yet. They're going to be higher risk. Intraday, see exhaustion soon, but larger time frames, not too convinced of it yet. What else? Is that a hot dog? I have no idea. I didn't see the presentation. That was Linda's, right? Harvey said it was Linda's. Yeah, Money Show had like one of their online things yesterday, you guys. Wondering what we're talking about. I don't know. When I think of what a hot dog pattern would be, I would be thinking like something that is mixed up of a whole bunch of garbage. That's what visualization comes to mind. IWM is playing these fibs like crazy. So, I mean, it had a pretty strong move up. It could conceivably still go up. I would say you're going to look at a range here. This is kind of your second correction. I don't really see a pattern on IWM or Russell here. Let's go look at the futures. Little double bottom there on the indices, by the way. A lot of times that can try to flip things and you'll get a bigger pull off. That was what happened overnight in the ES. So it's trying to do a little bit of a bigger correction here off of the support here with that little two bottoms. Let me show you that. Well, see that right here, these little two lows. There and there. So if you get a really steep increase in momentum to a low and you get a retest, a lot of times that can hold and you'll end up breaking this previous high here. So here's our futures contract, a little bit smoother. Not really any more indicative of what to expect though. So we were looking at these indices in LOT earlier where they were kind of coming back halfway and they could still go and put in like another secondary move up. And I can't really rule that out, even though, intraday things are looking slower, but yeah, here, I mean, it's kind of shifting. So like yesterday, what it would have needed to do more is kind of hold up here better. So what you can see again is that lower base. So it did the lower base and then the attempt to break. And that makes it harder to keep going. So if that had done that base higher, like we were talking about when we were first starting session today, that makes it easier for that to go. And it's just not doing that. So that can lead to basically an avalanche. So the stuff we were seeing on the daily is just not as strong because of how it's been playing out intraday. You can kind of see a version of it over here. It also shows you like the two little lows to start, how that can lead to some further upside, just like what we're seeing right now in the indices. Euro yen. Euro yen is taking a little bit load here, so I'll put that up there and we'll get the bonds quick. Bonds is one where we could get that break, but it might be a false break. Kind of got a mega phoenix here. Like a cup with handle on the 60-minute. So here's your phoenix, your cup, your handle, this megaphone. So that is looking more bullish into next week. And so on the daily, what we could get, because we don't have like a clear, really good second correction on this. So it could even go do something like that where it traps. It's kind of hard to tell at this point right now, but that's a risk because again, where's this base at? All of this congestion, the base is towards the lower or midway zone there. It's not the upper end, it's midway. Midway is iffier. You can get nice measured moves on the smaller time frames, but then they can struggle to try to go any further. This is interesting that this has pulled back so fast on this weekly time frame on the euro yen. Harvey, what's your take on that? He knows what I'm gonna say. Over a third. Yep. That pulled back too much there to really sustain the bulls on this. So even though this was a bit of a 2B pattern, which is normally more bullish and would try to pull this up higher, pulling back more than a third at that point after it kind of rounded off a little bit here at the lows and then did an increase in the momentum, which we can probably see better on like let's put up like a 240-minute, add a couple more days on there. Maybe it's just not going to go back further. So you can see how it kind of starts off lower with these two corrections here, and then it gains that speed, and then you've got this pullback here. It's about a third of that previous move up. So this is something that can go and even give a sharper drop if that lower end of this channel breaks. That support zone breaks there, that can go and speed things up on the downside. Doesn't look like a clean setup in here intraday, but that is the main risk that you have right now. With the two lower level corrections, then this is an increased momentum move. That's actually a really strong buy when this happens. Goes into the 1, 2, 3, and then this is a widening up zone, which means it can do basically anything. It can go and do a 2T, it can go into a megaphone, it can go into a trading range. So widening up zones are difficult to predict what exactly they're going to do. You just know that any sort of bigger correction with some bigger swings can happen at that point. And when it has something where it plunges really fast off of that, about a third of that last move up, then that can go and do further selling too. So that's something I'm looking at here on the weekly and the daily on this euro yen. Makes it more haphazard here. Let's see what the dollar yen looks like. That looks more bearish too. So extreme drop here makes it hard to get a really rapid continuation right away. A lot of times this will chop around and then continue. So you can see that over here. But extreme move up, again, same thing. It makes it really hard to do a really rapid move up. This I would call a zone of pain. Very difficult level to be trading. You'll get some cleaner setups within it. Like for example, this, break here was nice. This little check mark here was nice. You might have even had a reversal strategy in here, but right here, not so nice. I wouldn't generally be trading this at this point. Let's look at it intraday more, but oh, it's still loading. 30-minute, I guess there's a little bit of a check mark possible for a second breakdown here intraday. You might see another little break like that. You can see here it did like a two-wave correction and then just failed to break higher. Tried to do that little check mark here, little false start. I talked a little bit about some of those here earlier in today's session. So this is a good example of it. See how it hits that measured move about right there to there? And then it falters. So that's why that is like the first main resistance level you guys have to watch on these check marks. It might have a bigger check mark, so you might be looking for the potential for a bigger reversal, especially if momentum is shifting like it was over here. But extreme move up makes it harder for that continuation to happen. So ideally, what you would get to get a continuation to happen would be that this would go, and at this point, where'd my pen go? It would go and it would do like a second base like that with a time correction, and then that would go, and then that would be able to do that 1, 2, 3 that we were just looking at on the euro yen. And then up here would be their widening up zone again. So this is on the bearish side. It's not a perfect continuation. You got a slightly lower low there, but overall looks like you could get a second move down. Karen, do I have a replay link for yesterday's session? No, so I did a class yesterday for the money show, midday, and I'm not sure if they do their replays on their site or not. Oftentimes they'll go and post those. I can ask though, see if I can get you guys a direct link for the replay. I didn't record it myself. Did any of you guys happen to record the Money Show one on your guys' computer? I know sometimes Harvey or Alan will. Harvey, you did? Oh, you both did. Awesome. Can you guys send me copies of them and I'll just take one of them, whoever I get first, and I'll go put that up. And I'll put that in the member section for you League of Traders folks. It'll be in the bonus section. Jessie says she thought she saw a replay link in today's email. That's possible. Oh, I have a favor to ask you guys. This came up when I was sending out emails for that class. A lot of you are in League of Traders, so you get like a lot of overlap in information. You know, there's many ways you can log into League of Traders and things like that. So you don't always click on all your emails from me, but if you could do it, even if you don't read them, then please click to open them because it keeps the open rate up so that they don't end up in spam filters. And we want to make sure that that's not a problem so that you guys get all the information, and then you can find out when I'm doing like the special webinars and stuff like that, because oftentimes they're the ones that write the sales copy for those. So, or not, I guess it's not sales copy. They're not really selling anything. They're just inviting you to come and join. But they're the ones that write the copy for those. So sometimes it shows up because there's more emails going out. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Open all my emails, even if you ignore me. A lot of times I stick other stuff in there, like replay links to different things, so you might miss out on those. HYLN, what is that one? I don't know that I've traded that. Let's see here. And then you guys want NKLA. So we'll put those up too. It is a leader in electrified powertrain solutions, and I have no idea what that means. Is that a meme? For commercial vehicles? Oh, got it. Okay, I understand now. Guys, when I worked on cars, that was long before we had all of that electric stuff. Shoot, I couldn't even change out the battery on my vehicle. I'm like, oh, shoot, my battery died. I'm just going to go get a new battery and install it. Guess not. To take everything apart to try to get to the battery. HYLN not pulling up on NinjaTrader. NKLA is, so I will pull up, oh, NBM. We'll look up at NKLA first here. I know, Nicole, they make it like so difficult to do anything on newer vehicles. They like ensure the mechanics have their jobs, I guess. It's Donna, I'm channeling time. Hey, Nicole, I was wondering if Nicole was working on cars way back in the day, because you know, Nicole's not that not that old. Donna. Okay, so Nicole, one of your clones is actually Donna. Okay, Kron says it's merging with the current ticker is SHLL. Well, you are just causing me all kinds of confusion here today, Kron. And then all of these Donna clones. Not Donna clones, Nicole clones. See? May May. Bye. Ooh, that was a beautiful breakdown. Okay, so this is getting to a point where you might get a little bounce here in today. So into the afternoon, this might turn around a little bit in today. I really don't know what to expect on these because it's a buyout. I have no idea. I mean, there's just no chart data here for me to go off of on something like this. So you might have like day trade stuff, but that's all I see. You don't even have a swing trade set up on this. And like, if this is your buyout stock, you would want to stay away from doing anything with it anyway. So wait until the buyout actually goes through and everything. Okay, so NKLA, again, you got your huge pullback here. Look at this here, more on the intraday. Not really showing too much. This can go and break down, but I would expect a slower breakdown than over here. So, maybe something like this and then try to flip again. But really, there's nothing that I would do right here. I would say if I had to like flip a coin, like to go like which one, I would be hoping it would go for the downside. That's going to be kind of the easier path at the moment based on the intraday charts. Because I would view this here as a two-wave correction, 1, 2, and then that as the potential to break down. So, as far as like day trading, that would be my focus. But swing trading wise, position trading wise, I really don't know right now on this one. It could definitely have another pullback in here before it tries to bounce again, though. So what I would look for, like if I was looking to try to invest in this, like maybe I wanted this like for a long haul or something, I would want to see another low on that daily chart before I got into it. So something that would kind of pull it down a little bit more. Nicole is clarifying when it's her. She says, I've installed an alternator. Woohoo! Yeah, I was trying to jump my car when the battery died, and I'm like, what on earth? This doesn't even look right. I figured it out, but yeah. Totally different. It's funny because my dad used to restore cars, old cars, him and my brother. My brother still does all the electronics for the emergency vehicles, basically throughout the Midwest. He's one of the guys that installs a lot of that stuff. But my dad used to take things apart, like all these cars, and just kind of rebuild them. And he had all kinds of classics when I was growing up. So I learned on those. But even now, he's like, I won't touch anything. Won't do anything. He's like, I don't know why you buy all of this stuff. Stick to something you can actually fix. It's not necessarily horrible advice, right? You don't realize exactly how much you rely on everybody else for everything now compared to even just 30 years ago. Donna is a woman after my own kind. She's like, I rebuilt an engine. And then threw in the towel after that one. Sometimes the convenience is just way better to have somebody else do it, but it's still kind of empowering doing it yourself. All right, you guys. So, is there anything else you want me to look at here before we head out? And I'll get this posted up for you guys on YouTube. Oil, you want to look at oil? Okay. Crude oil. Let me go and grab some charts of that. Oh, crude oil plunged with the overall market here. So the indices, you guys, I don't know if you're noticing this, but they held that little two-wave bottom there intraday. And oil is kind of doing the same thing. I'll pull that up on ES. Yeah, so oil is trying a bit of a 2T-ish action at the 50% retracement. And I still have the half contracts up on this computer. So I'll just grab that. Ever since Ninja Trader messed around with people trading the front month, I haven't been following it as much. I don't know if they are allowing it now or not. Do any of you guys know? Harvey, are they letting you trade the front month on that now? No idea. Yeah, I don't think Thinkorswim is. But here's what we're looking at is the potential for the 2T right here. And you can see how this starts out really fast. This is more stunted and this is more stunted. So this is exactly like what I had in class yesterday. I can go show you that on, I'm gonna go grab that PowerPoint from yesterday. So this is something that can roll over here again, go and pull back down again. I would say probably into here easily. See recent yesterday. Oh, by the way, you League of Trader folks, you can grab yesterday's PowerPoint. I posted it in the Telegram channel. So see here, this is kind of what we're looking at in reverse. I'm gonna try to put this next to here so we can see this side by side. So here's what we're looking at. So it's really rapid move, slower move, slower move, slower move, slower move, correction, correction, another move, kind of a slightly lower low here, a retest of the low. So that's what we're trying to get here is like that retest of the high and then a pullback again. So yeah, I would look for oil to pull back at some point next week. Could be a good swing trade for those of you that can get that. I might try it out. Let's see here. Can kind of see it a little better on the 240 minutes. Let me show you guys a 240. Again, this is a chart of QM. That's just what I've got up here. But QM is just your half contract on crude. Whoops, where'd it go? No, that's still the daily. Copy, paste. Why is it pasting my daily chart? I swear I'm copying the 240. Huh. Does not want me to copy a 240-minute chart. Let's try it again. That's really bizarre. There we go. All right, here is the 240. The QM, is it kind of illiquid with bad slippage? Depends on the time frame you're trading it on. I've day traded it though lately and it's been pretty good, but keep in mind that crude oil has had a lot more interest. So that was definitely the case like a year ago, but it's a lot better now. I know. I asked them. They have no intention of putting a micro out on crude oil right now. I don't know why, or well, at least they've made no notes that they've done so. They can't actually tell people if they're planning on it, but I have not heard anybody. And I put out feelers everywhere. So as soon as there's a news release, I should know, or any sort of like works of one coming up. So this is what we're looking at for 2T. So it definitely has that pattern. I would be looking for shorts on this. Have you heard anything, J. Rob? 'Cause, yeah, I haven't. Last inquiry I sent over was maybe 2 months ago, I think. Oh, Jerry, that's you. You guys are all confusing me with your names in here. We got Nicole clones, J. Jerry's. Don't know what Carl's gonna log in as next week. Karen's, Karan's, exactly. All kinds of confusion. He's finally here live. You've been listening to a recording all this time, wondering why were you using the March contract? How to adjust. I know at one point we had two Harvey S's too. I don't know what happened to that Harvey. He was like on a trial. I think that he wanted live trade alerts, more live trade alerts. All right, you guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up here. May. And I will see you guys are gonna taunt me for that for the rest of my life, aren't you? I will see you back here next week, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and stay safe out there. I'm gonna go check out my volcano. Bye.